What sexual concerns do you hear most from teens?
It's very hard to distill these issues down to giant thematics, other than to say that the males tend to be most concerned with their functioning and their adequacy. Females tend to be most concerned with the interpersonal functioning, the relationships. And what's distressing most to me is that the males are worried about the males, worried about themselves. And the females are also worried about the males because there's nowhere that they can get information that helps them understand how males function. So it's always confusing to them how males can operate, how they could share something and not have a similar experience, because the men's biology is so different, and there's very little information for them about that.
What STDs should teens look out for?
Well, my big campaign right now is about the HPV vaccine. I mean, this kills tens of thousands of women. There's no reason for it. It's bizarre that we have any ambivalence about getting this vaccine out for everybody. We give it to 9 to 12-year-olds because that's where it's optimally effective, not because we want them to have sex, because we want them not to die when they're young adults. Cervical cancer kills young women. That's one of the leading killers of young women. It's virtually preventable with this HPV vaccine. It is insane for young women not to get it. I can't wait for the day that we have it approved for a broader age range and males. That should be coming soon. Another thing they need to be aware of is how emergency contraceptive works. I urge each of them to judge for themselves. This is a postcoital emergency measure to prevent pregnancy and hopefully prevent abortions. It works almost without exception by preventing ovulation, just the way birth control pills work when you take it every day. It's not as though it causes an abortion, not as though it interferes with the implantation, any more likely than the birth control pills you take every day. So people need to be understand about that. Now, if they have a problem with any possibility of interfering with the implantation, hormonal contraceptives of all types ought to be off the table. I get that. I understand that.
What are the most common teen sex myth interpretations?
What's shrouded in myth is, what is virginity? That's the thing that goes around all the time. That young people have completely lost track of the idea that virginity was really meant to maintain chastity. And it's not a technicality about some plane being violated. So they'll have oral sex, anal sex, everything else, but they won't have genital intercourse. That therefore I'm a virgin. It's like, I'm not sure that's what Jesus had in mind. I'm not sure what Moses was thinking either. I mean, it just,
Why is it hard to communicate with teens?
We've had a problem in this country deciding what we want to do with our education about sexuality with young people. And the science suggests that a comprehensive sexual education and helping kids negotiate and make good choices and encourage abstinence and give them the tools they need to maintain abstinence, as opposed to giving them fear-based messages. And I know how that works with young people. You scare them into a behavior, and what you do is you'll create an improvement of the behavior for about 6 to 12 months, and then they rebound above the baseline. Every study in adolescent behaviors ever done has always shown that. And by the way, once they rebound above the behavior we're trying to contain, they will not listen to you at all after that. Once you have overstated your case to a teen and they discover it and judge for themselves that to have been an overstatement, they don't want to hear from you ever again. I literally am still having to I'm still having to contend with the reefer madness mentality of the 70s, that the risks of marijuana were so overstated that young people don't ever want to talk about that again. We have the same thing going on with HIV right now, that we scared the hell out of them so much that then they're like, well, I've never met anybody with HIV. I don't want to hear this anymore. This has not been my experience. So condom use has gone down because they don't want to hear about it anymore. Unless you give them a realistic appraisal and let them draw the conclusions, you're going to lose them in the long run.
How do I talk to my teen about sex and drugs?
As a parent, your job is to create dialogue. And there's tons of opportunity in media and elsewhere to educate and talk to young people. I mean, there's just tons of it. So really, there's a window between about 8 and 12 that research has shown if you establish rapport or establish dialogue, you'll kind of continue it through adolescent, young adulthood. And it's really about just being there for them to ask the questions. And when the time comes up to impress your values and to give them a little more information on their terms, just make sure it's what they wanted. It's really what they're asking for. Just keep answering those questions. That's your job as a parent.
How do I know I'm gay?
Don't declare your major until you're through your adolescence. I mean, you can have all kinds of funny feelings about same-sex attractions that can wax and wane, become fixed or not. Just sit with feelings. Don't act on them when you're in adolescence. That's my main message is whatever it is, it's going to figure itself out, whether you're gay or straight, whatever. But by acting on it, you're only going to add to the confusion, the intensity of your feelings. Till later.